football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. We are the KC Soccer Journal. My name is Cody Bradley. Thad Bell and Robert Russert are here in the chat with me. Great weekend for Sporting Kansas City. Thad, I told you to watch the table and that they were going to get this win versus Houston. 3-1 in Houston. A brace for Joveljic. First goal for Munoz. Wow, that took me a second.
Santiago. just say Santi or Santiago.
I just need to say it a couple times. Munoz. Okay, I got it. Santiago Munoz, first goal. Great first goal. Love to see that. It was a good weekend for soccer. Michelle Cooper for the U.S. women's national team. Good all around. And I said to look at the table, and when I said that last week, that I forgot about the midweek games that Sporting Kansas City would not be playing. So they got this win. They climbed it up, but Houston also got a win midweek. The table's looking a lot better. We're going to look around the MLS table a little bit. But I want to talk about Dejan Joveljic, that the goals are starting to pour in. 6 goals for Sporting KC in the last 2 games. Dejan Joveljic has 4 in his last 3. So it kind of feels like that. Are they starting to gel a little bit? Is this team of new faces all kind of coming together here? It feels like the signs are right and they're moving in the right direction.
It does feel like it's moving in the right direction. I mean, it's 4 straight results. 3 of them were draws. But if you look at Carey's time,
yes,
4 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. That would be 15 points over 10 games, so 1.5 points per game. If that was carried out over a season, that would have them in like 7th, 8th, 9th spot, but a clear actual playoff spot. I mean, of course, It's not carried out over the whole entire season, but if they can continue it, why not, right?
And it's the highest that it would be for Sporting Kansas City in several seasons as well. So it does look like it's working well. Robert, Dejan Joveljic, well-taken goals, 2 of them in this one, 4 goals in his last 3 games. Is it the new father boost, or is this something more?
You know, he's smiling a lot out there, so it might be a new father boost. I don't know. And he was giving Bond, his former teammate, a lot of trouble, too. And a lot of smiles, like, I gotcha. But, you know, the man, he's a finisher, right? And you get him in the right spots, he's going to put him away. And are we declaring him a better finisher than Alan Pulido was while he was here? Or is that still a debate? I don't know.
Yes, he's a better finisher.
Better than William upon first reference, Agata?
Slightly.
Tony will take a stand, don't worry.
Again, he's had his ups and downs throughout the years, right? I mean, he's still young, though. But he, because not last year, but the year before, LA was terrible, and I think he got 6 goals. So Sporting's not that great, and he's got 9, so that's clearly a progression, right?
No, yeah, you could just contrast it with, say, Brody's chance he had in the second half, where he took 2 touches in the box. We didn't have time to. You know, Dejan knows when he has time to take a second touch and when he needs to hit it first time, as soon as Munoz, apparently. So makes a big difference.
That first goal showed that perfectly, where I think a lot of times someone just turns and boots that first time on that first goal, and he saw all the space he had, knew he had time to take that touch, and it just fell right to him, and all he did was pass it into the back of the net. You said that earlier, that he's just such a true finisher, and he is. He's such a striker's striker. I don't think we heard his name the entire first half until he scored that goal. He wasn't getting many touches, wasn't doing a lot, and then boom, just like that, he gets on the board and then gets another one after that. Man, I'm loving Joveljic these days. And you comment about him talking to his former teammate, the keeper. I just love the way he plays. He's kind of a fiery, feisty guy, but then there was one play, he had one of his best shots of the day, a first-time kind of a half volley that keeper saved, and Joveljic kind of was, you could see on his face, he's like, that's about the best I can do, and he just went and shook his former teammate's hand. So he's just I love the way he moves, I love the way he plays, he's feisty, he's fiery, but then he's also, a respectful gentleman when it calls for it. I'm absolutely loving this for $4 million. And by the way, he's at 9 goals, Thad. That is 1 behind Lionel Messi, greatest player of all time. 2 behind 11th. I forget, Sam Surridge, I think is who that is. And so, so he's right up there with the leaders. He's only 4 behind the lead in the Golden Boot. So I'm loving the way this comes together. I can't believe the Galaxy just are in such shambles that we were able to get him for a $4 million transfer fee.
And Cody, you've got to add that he's also very honest in the locker room during interviews after the Derby match. He's like, "Oh, nothing compared to Europe. It was good, but nothing compared to Europe."
I call it like it is. That's fair.
Yeah, he's blunt and honest, man. It is pretty good.
So I was looking at, so we paid $4 million for him in the transfer fee. Don't know what he's actually getting paid this year, but I looked at what his salary was last year. Thad, he got paid less than Kyrie Shelton last season.
He was still coming off like the U22 contract though, and he's a DP this year. So yes, right. He's going to get more money.
Okay, that's right. That's a very good point. So yes, the U22 contract, I think it's probably the max. Is now that I'm looking at this number, it was a $683,750, and Kyrie Shelton was at $700,000 last season. Kyrie Shelton with pink hair. Where did that come from? Kyrie, cut it out. Also, did he get hurt, Thad? What happened there? Did he get hurt? Subbed out at halftime?
I think Carey's just rotating certain players and positions at this point.
Yeah, right. That's pretty much what I would think.
It was outside backs rotated last game. Same ones, except different ones started. And same with Tommy and Choppy. They have both basically rotated in for each other.
Yeah, I was kind of liking Kyrie in that, though, despite the pink hair. I don't think he was an issue of the first half.
No,
but...
no, he was not from what I saw. And again, Kyrie is actually probably our best option at right back at this point.
Maybe.
Despite that being Brody's position.
Brody didn't look great. He had just a golden opportunity. One of the best sequences of the game for this offense, like I said, that is clicking now. One of the best sequences. He got the ball in the far post before the defense had shifted over, and he took that horrible touch and then barely even got a shot off. Didn't look great. But I want to talk more about Joveljic. That $683,000 last year. U22 contract is done. How much is he making this year? It's got to be over $1 million, right? It's not $2 million, is it?
I doubt it, but man, who knows? It's I guess we'll find out probably another month or so.
I know. Yeah, we don't have any information on that. Of course, they are pretty buttoned up about all of that. But I think you said something earlier about the season where he only had 6 goals, and that was 3 seasons ago. So maybe that's going to help us in the long run here.
Well, yeah, 6 goals 2 seasons ago when LA was terrible, and then how many goals last year? 20-something when they were good and won everything.
Right.
I mean, we're always going to be in that talk, though. Are you willing to be really bad then next year be good and win a championship and then be really bad the next year? A lot of people say yes. I don't know.
A lot of playoff goals in that, too. But what was Polito getting? Remind me, guys. Was that in the 3s? Or am I going too high or am I too low there?
I don't think it was 3. I think am I thinking 2.9 million?
Something like that, yeah.
But remember, he signed a second contract, which probably brought him up a little bit because they didn't have to factor in the transfer fee at that point.
Polito. Oh, I was way off. Guaranteed compensation $3.86 million last year.
Okay.
Almost 4.
Yeah, so well worth it, huh?
Yeah. So either way, what I was getting at there, I'm sure he's over $1 million this year, but I think that's great value. Can you imagine where we would be without Joveljic at the moment?
Yeah. Looking at that, man, he does have to be at least like $3 to $4 million at this point.
Joveljic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Polito was getting that much.
Yeah, I know. That would not surprise me. Oh, that's interesting though. I will be very interested to see how that turns out. So, like,
gotta be a reason he chose us, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Or does he get a say in that? Did the Galaxy do that transfer? How does that work?
Galaxy did the transfer, and there was supposedly teams in Mexico that were willing to pay them more, but because of the new MLS mechanism where you can do a cash trade, they would get all of the cash. If you transfer a player to outside the league, I forget the exact number, but you only get a percentage of that cash coming to the team. Percentage of it goes to the league. So it made more sense. LA actually sold him for less money, but got more money in the end result because of that MLS rules.
It's a cash grab. A lot of that going around.
That's good business. This other side, I'm not so sure about, which we'll talk about later.
Thad, we talked in previous weeks that the defense was starting to surprise us, and now it's maybe starting to feel like the offense is clicking. They're coming together. 6 goals in the last 2 games. I know there was a 0 before that. So I don't know. That's my question. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to go to Thad because he's just going to rain on my parade and be all boring and in the middle on this and try to be contrarian against me. Robert, yeah. I know you're got to be feeling something about these results. It seems to me that the offense, these players have figured out where their teammates are going to be moving, where they're going to be, where they want the ball. And the last 2 games, I thought I saw so much more free-flowing, quick passing, and I really do. I think it's starting to click.
Yeah, the confidence certainly is up, and you can see that the players understand that this dynamic has potential, So I think that's driven their enthusiasm. They're getting some results. They've got the new coach. So it's just kind of like a snowball effect in a way. And that just frees you up so much more and brings up possibilities that weren't there before. So it's nice to see. We'll see if they have that next level when they're going to need it, to make that really playoff run. But it's certainly been fun to watch.
That is the team finding its identity.
I think they're finding the identity. I think it's just it's still a very early work in progress, quite honestly. That you can see. I mean, they're a team that's fighting back. They do have all that, all that stuff that Vermees was wanting them to have the last 2 years. They do kind of have that now. It's just they aren't quite there. Not everything is gelled. They do still need some better players, and they need some, everybody. How to say it? Not everybody in this team would be starters on other teams. In fact, I don't know how many of them would be, other than Dejan, would be a starter on other teams. Mm-hmm. But you can still have a good team. But they still need a few players.
Right. Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you totally. Like the next level, do they have that next level in them? That will remain to be seen. And whether a summer signing helps us get there, I don't know. But I mean, let's look at last night. If you want to be Debbie Downer or whatever you want to be, 2.6 expected goals for Houston. We were playing Houston, not exactly a team that's been, tearing it up. And only 1.5. We took advantage of our chances, and Pulse Camp guys kept us in the game again.
Yeah, they were not the dominant team last night. They had a dominant period of time.
Yeah, right. They finished their chances. Yeah.
A game on the road is that's probably what's going to happen majority of the time, unless you're just the best team in the league. So great game on the road. Great game on the road. I'm happy with that game. Now they need to do that better at home.
Robert, you just cited an XG that I think is vastly different from the one I'm looking at on FootMob. What did you say that XG was in the Houston game?
For Houston, it was 2.6, according to MLS anyway, and 1.5 for Sporting. That's what they had anyway. What's FootMob say?
FootMob has their XG at 1.12.
Theirs being Houston's or Sporting's?
Sporting's in the Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess that can't be right. 14 shots, 4 shots on target. Yeah, something a little iffy there. I'm going with the MLS numbers on that one. So go ahead.
FB Ref had the XG of 2.9 for Houston and 1.1 for Sporting. So,
and I was just chiming to say every site calculates it differently. So
yeah, sure.
It just kind of depends on where you go.
Subjective.
Cody, why are you wincing? Is it the look of horror at my appearance? Do you want me to go back to the chat?
Well, I was wincing not because you joined. I'm very happy that you joined. It was the first words out of your mouth were a little skipped, and we kind of stepped on each other, and I wasn't sure how this was going to go. You seem to have buffered out a little bit. So David in the chat is here. David Greenwald has joined us. David, I feel like I haven't been on a podcast with you in months. It's good to see your face.
It's good to see you guys too. And congrats on winning the Europa Conference League, Cole Palmer.
Thank you. Feels good. I got several Cole Palmer messages this week. Apparently, I look like I'm not even gonna deny it anymore because every time I deny it, I just get more pictures of Cole Palmer. I need to be better looking than him. Anyway, David, are you starting to believe that this team is finding itself? They're finding a new identity, or is the 6 goals in the last 2 games? Is this a flash in the pan?
No, I mean I definitely think we're trending upwards. I don't know what the long-term ceiling is for this team. I don't know if Carey is the right guy to lead the team. I think there's a lot of questions, but he definitely has buy-in right now, and it's tough to argue that the results have been substantially better than they had been the last couple of years. So it sure seems like he's making a strong case that the locker room supports him, and it's really cool to see Decky, starting to live up to the hype that he had when he came in.
One thing KZ said last week about Decky and Manu Garcia was he likes when those two can connect directly, and he was trying to. There was a concerted effort to keep Manu Garcia further up the field. Robert, I've been loving Manu every game, but he was causing a lot of problems. I looked at the stats, and they didn't maybe necessarily show how that he was further up the field in this game, but he was getting fouled in dangerous places. It seemed like every time he got fouled, we had a dangerous free kick. I love this philosophy because the idea of those two connecting directly for one pass for a Decky finish. I like this a lot, and I think it worked. I think they were more free flowing, and keeping Manu up the field in dangerous areas is something I like that they're focusing on.
Yeah, I mean they're going to keep following Manu, aren't they? And we're going to need Basong or Davis or Bartlett, whoever it is, to kind of, stick up for Manu too and do some tackles themselves like Roger would, right?
Hey, both of those guys you just mentioned did have very good games. Even Zoran Basong had, I think, one of the second or third highest rating on the team. So yeah, he did. He turned in a good performance as well. I do want to talk about Bartlett. We can do that in maybe the next segment. But sticking with the offense. Oh, go ahead, Thad.
I was just going to mention, you said Basong had a good game, but he's actually been in the contributing build-up to like 3 of the last 5 goals or something like that.
Yeah.
I was trying to look that up real quickly because it was something I saw from before. I didn't look at everything last night. But so he's been a big contributor in that build-up, even though he's not like making the sweetest pass and, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, he is that guy one of the guys that makes the team gritty. Not technically amazing, but he's getting himself in good spots. He's making pretty good decisions, and yeah, it's working lately.
I want to like kind of acknowledge that this team now has villains to other teams, and Basong is one of those villains. Jansen Miller is one of those. Shoppy is one of those. So I like that we have a villain essentially on every line, and I appreciate that.
I do too, and it's also surprising that Jansen Miller, the accountant, is the bad guy. He just doesn't look like the villain in a movie. I'm sorry, and how could you be mad at that guy? Look at him, come on. He looks like a friendly guy.
He's a super nice guy, man. But he's also willing to say, "Yep, no, I don't like those people." So,
okay, yeah. Sticking with the offense, Daniel Shallow. We've talked a little bit about that. He got an assist last night, and he has a goal or an assist, Robert, in 3 of the last 4. What do you like about Shallowy as of late?
Yeah, I mentioned it last week that he just doesn't stay on the left wing and just, camp out there. He gets more interactive. And let's admit it, guys, this left-hand side with whether it's in Denbe or Leibold, you got Manu that kind of stays more toward the left-hand side. And you got Dejan and Shallowy. That's a strong side combination. That right side, it's not so strong. But Shallowy, yeah, when he's got players to support him and to interact and combine with, he definitely shows.
He's getting in the score sheet, 5 goals, 3 assists on the season, and it just feels like he's warming up. It feels like he's inching closer to kind of a breakout, and we know he's a streaky player.
I would just say he's building confidence, man. Success breeds confidence. Confidence breeds success. And I think that's where he's at right now. Will it continue? Don't know, but it looks like it could. I mean, it looks like they could be building a very nice offense Is it there yet 100%? No, but it looks like it could be.
Well, also Shalaway's more freed because Manu is getting so much more attention too. So, and Dejan.
And I think that was the thing that people slept on last year with, by the way, I thought we agreed to call him Dan as long as he's got the mustache.
Yeah.
But, he got so much flack from the fan base for underperforming last year in light of, he was a DP, but not really, right? Like, we had the designation to give, so we gave it. But it's not like the club was presenting him as this designated player.
And the number 10 jersey, too. So maybe they kind of were presenting him as the
but like,
well, he requested that.
He asked for that, yeah.
But Daniel plays best when the players around him are really good, right? So when we had nobody playing the 9 last year, when we had no creativity in the midfield, Daniel suffered. When Daniel's been at his best, he's had either, strong strikers who can take up space in the box, or even Kyrie, who was like moving defenders out of the way. Because while Daniel is streaky, he's not a player who relies on his athleticism to do well. So like, his legs will go, everybody's legs go, but it's not like he relies entirely on pace to be successful. He has, he has class, he has technique, and technique goes last, right? So his ability to hit like a curler, or his ability to kind of read the game, that's not going anywhere. So it's just a matter of creating space for him to be successful. And it's probably not appropriate for me to dunk on everybody who was on Facebook and in Reddit and, on Cauldron Facebook and whatever. But like, you all were wrong and I was right, and suck it.
Well, I mean, is that also playing into this too, that this is a, contract year for him too. So that could be a bit of a factor.
Good. Pay him.
Yeah. But let me ask this question. And, Cody, you're going to hate when you ask questions you don't know the answer to. But did Fontes's high goals, season, whatever that metric is they use, correspond with Shalaway's MVP season, or were those different seasons?
You can't possibly have meant Fontes when you said that.
No. Yeah. So he did.
Yeah. Fontes's goals plus or whatever, goals added.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not the goal scored. The
the goals added metric that American Soccer Analysis did. Did those correspond with each other? Or they were different seasons.
Well, see, now it's on you. Like you said, you've asked a question that we
I think
don't
David's
know the answer
on it.
to. One that we can't.
Hold please. This is going to take a minute.
Maybe we can get it throughout the course of the show. But now you're on the hook, Robert. You're gonna have to tweet or do something later in the week. Maybe put together a quick little article about this. If
possibly.
Stall. Okay. Well, it's perfect because we're gonna go to break, David. And you know how long our breaks are. You have many minutes. Not just like 5 seconds, I promise.
Yeah, and if you're not done by the time we come back, it's just going to look so bad for you.
No, it's not. It'd be my fault.
All right, get to work, David. We'll be right back.
I found a kid who swings a golf club like a dream. I'd like to try to qualify him for the U.S. Amateurs.
Coming to Apple TV Plus.
What's your name?
I'm not into older guys, but I'm flattered.
A new comedy series, Stick.
I don't want to go on this trip.
Your mouth's saying one thing, but those eyes are saying something else.
From the home of Ted Lasso.
This is your shot at redemption? This is your mulligan?
Owen Wilson.
This game takes and it takes. The game's finally giving me something back.
Stick.
You know Arnold Palmer?
Iced tea, lemonade, mix it.
I'm missing a nap for this.
Streaming June 4th on Apple TV Plus.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Sports are all about teamwork, and so is insurance. Whether you need an in-person or digital assist, State Farm is there to help you choose the right coverage for your home, car, and more. Get a game plan that helps fit your life and talk to State Farm today. State Farm with the assist. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability and eligibility vary by state.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
All right. I'm not even going to ask if David has finished it yet. I'm just going to show confidence in him. He'll get it eventually. Thad, we've been talking about the forwards on this team. So Tommy got the start against Houston. Shoppy subbed in for him. It was vice versa the week before. What do you think of that right wing right now? Are you Tommy or Shoppy?
I'm both. I like the changing it up because they are different players.
Right, exactly.
Tommy starts, and I mean, both of them have really good, strong traits, and both of them have things that are just not getting it done. So when you're switching them up in there, it's causing the defense, at least to have to question who's there. Now, not that it's going to be a big surprise next game because we know that they're both going to be there. And somebody's are you raising your hand, David? Can't tell, or you just...
I have my answer. Well, I'm raising my hand because I have an answer.
Thad, you're supposed to finish your thought uninterrupted. He's waiting, and then he goes. That's how we do this.
Yeah, I raised my hand patiently.
Well, I was done with my thought.
Okay.
We'll come back to that idea, but what's David got?
Okay. So in 20 and 21, Daniel Shallowy scored 16 goals. Also in 20 and 21, Andrew Fontes led MLS with a goals added value of 3.68.
Okay.
That was that year. Well done, Robert.
Well, I had a hunch. Thank you, David.
I wish I had some
David
fanfare.
With the goals added assist.
I wish I had some fanfare to play for Robert there. That was impressive. Well done.
Ta-da.
Yeah. Well, that's the top 5.
So
I couldn't use that.
Yeah, I mean, Shoppy, the last couple of performances have nothing been to write home about, right? And players are that way, and Tommy's been that way too. But can we just have a moment where we thank whoever made the decision, where it's KZ or whoever, that Tommy's playing on the right? Can we just have a moment? Thank you.
Yes.
Whoever made that decision.
Pretty sure it's Carey at this point because he wasn't doing it a whole lot before. Sometimes, every once in a while, but that's his best spot at this point. I mean, he can fill in some other spots, but that's his best spot.
What's been nice is that Tommy doesn't have to play hero ball. Like, the team's in a position right now where Eric doesn't seemingly need to, or at least in his mind, carry the team. So he's able to play more within himself. And he's a really talented player when he plays his game. And when he was pressing earlier this year to try and be the guy, or pressing last year to be the guy and shoulder the whole workload, I think the results were substantially worse.
I do think he is sometimes doing that still because, late in the game when it's still a draw, things like that, he's kind of over trying a little bit. So maybe it's better to start him so it's not a problem. It's like you're not expected to finish something at that point. I don't know. But I'm leaving that up to Carey at this point. I also think it sometimes matters with who's behind him. So Kyrie and him sometimes works well because Kyrie can lope out some balls and get down there really well. Brody does not seem to be doing that so well. So maybe it's just also that's the problem with Shoppy and Tommy is who's behind them.
David, you were echoing Carrie Robinson last week on Tommy and the hero ball. Carrie is sick tonight, is why she is not joining us. But David, I thought you were going to jump in here more on the Shoppy conversation because at the beginning of the season, you just arbitrarily decided you were a Shoppy hater. And I think just because I said I liked him one game, you just dug your toes in and said he is useless, he can't do anything. So where have you landed? I haven't heard from you in many weeks here. What do you think of Shoppy?
I don't think those were the words I used.
Inept. The word you used was inept, and he has proven that wrong.
If you're going to attribute things to me, please be accurate. Look,
unlike you, because he is not inept.
Shoppy gets a lot of points in my book for the shithousery against St. Louis, but I remain underwhelmed. He's fine.
Underwhelmed.
He's fine. He's okay. He's only okay.
Okay, but what were you expecting? Why should you have expected more than okay? And also, I just want to point out, okay is better than inept.
Okay. It is.
Okay,
he's got you there.
If he's just an add-on player that they found when signing Manu, then heck yeah, I'm loving Shoppy. If for no other reason than what you said, David, if for no other reason than shithousery against our rival, I'm here for it.
He was in the buy one, get one bin.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. I think he's probably better than okay so far. I think he's gonna nail one of those screamers. He's hit the post off a 30-yard screamer a couple times this season. One of those is gonna go in, and if you get one of those off a bargain bin guy, then that's good stuff.
I mean, so if you look at his like per 90 stats, he's just not moving the needle a lot for somebody who plays on the offense, right? Like he's got a lower per 90 XG than William upon first reference Agata did, lower than Decky, lower than Shallowy, lower than Santi, lower than Danny Rosero, lower than Tommy, lower than Tim Leibold.
Oh,
he's
wow.
at 0.09 XG per 90 minutes. And so for a guy who plays on the wing, and there are many ways to play on the wing, right? You don't always have to be goal dangerous if you can be, firing in crosses and contributing with assists. But for somebody who's involved in the attack a lot, I'm just underwhelmed. And then when you incorporate XG plus expected assists, he then falls behind Manu and Memo. He's at 0.09 XG and 0.06 expected assists per 90 minutes. And so, yeah, I mean, was inept a little hyperbolic? Yeah, but I'm just underwhelmed.
Okay, well, I appreciate the XG numbers there. Thank you for that. But I would also say for the same reason, just because you brought up Willie Agata, and it's not the first reference, so I can say that.
No, I know.
I just
been here the whole time.
If you remember me, I remember me saying that about Willie and my issues with XG, were that the way the flaws in XG helped him and made him look better. And I think for the same style of Shoppy, it's just the mirror side of that. The flaws in XG are just not showing everything that he has contributed to the offense so far. But again, like I said, I'm not saying he is amazing. I'm here more for the hunchback and the shithousery. So
no, look, the thing about expected goals is that it gives you a perspective on a player, right? So high XG but low goal numbers suggest that you're getting into good spots, but you're not clinical at finishing. Guys who outperform their XG oftentimes are like really good finishers. And so William Agata gets in really good spots. He was consistently goal dangerous. He's just a very wasteful finisher. Whereas Shoppy, I think, has a total season XG of 1, and he has 1 goal.
Okay, but
which was a fluke,
right?
His 1 goal was a fluke. It deflected off somebody.
With what you just said right there about it can show if you're getting into dangerous spots, you're just not a clinical finisher. I think Shoppy is getting into dangerous spots. He's just not taking the shot every time. He's passing it or he's doing something and then, yes, maybe losing it or, whatever. I think Shoppy has been in a lot of dangerous spots, and that's what I mean. If you don't take the shot, then it doesn't count. So,
but then it would go to expected assists.
Right. And you can you can get into dangerous spots and, not make the final pass. And again, like I said, I'm not saying he's great, but I would classify him as a guy that gets into dangerous spots.
Yeah, I mean, to Shoppy's credit, I think he's realized that the league has figured him out pretty quickly about, his left foot. And he's been trying a little bit more to go to his right and play some balls in with his right. So we'll see if he has success that way. Otherwise, he's going to be pretty mid out there.
And David, it would only show up on expected assists if the guy that he passes it to took the shot right then, right? I'm telling you, I like XG and I like the new analysis, the extended analysis in soccer. I do, but there are flaws in all of it, and I take it with a grain of salt.
There's flaws in the analysis of every sport, but I do just want to chime in on one thing. Willie Agata does have a goal now, so he is equal 1 goal, 1 red card.
That's correct.
He has as many goals as.
It's a nice goal.
It was a fluke.
Yeah, better ball that it was a finish.
So another reference or another measuring stick, I don't think it's really a totally valid one, but I want to throw it out there anyway, is I don't know of anybody who has asked Shoppy's former team to take him back, where I do know Salt Lake fans have asked us to take him back. So I'm not sure it's a really fair measurement, but there we go.
If he wanted to sign a contract extension and be a backup for like a relatively cheap price, I would take him back in a heartbeat.
Thad, we were talking about Jacob Bartlett a little bit ago. He had another good game. It looks like he's getting a little more comfortable. He runs with some swag. I like the way he's moving out there. 19 years old, and it feels like he's improving at least, right, Thad?
Yeah, I think so. I do think a lot of fans don't necessarily think that. They think we need to throw him away, not throw him away, but find somebody else to replace him for the time being. And that Robert might be jumping on that one too. I want to see him play. I do still want to. He's got a lot of things to develop, but I think he's a player that will be really good over the next couple of years. He does still have things he needs to improve. What do you think, Robert?
Well, I mean, first of all, Cody, in the rundown, you said great game, and you changed it to good just a second ago. So
no, I didn't.
I was definitely going to argue with great because it wasn't a great game for either one of them. But yeah, I mean, Bartlett, I think, like you said, that he covers a lot of space, a lot more than the players we've had there in recent years. And that does help, and that does make a difference. His interventions have not been what they need to be. You know, he's a 19-year-old. He's going to learn that. He's going to learn when to play those, when to, press on those, when to and how to win those tackles and stop the ball or stop the man. But, right now, what he's doing is enough. And, yeah, he needs to keep playing because how else are we going to develop somebody in that spot?
Yeah, and Carey has talked about the things he needs to do. He sometimes gets sucked out of position because he's young and he's trying to chase. It's a lot of times that's for young players, they're trying to do too much. They're trying to do everything, and they need to learn when they don't. Ilie was one of, has obviously been one of our favorite players and one of our best DMs when he was at his best. But he wasn't a guy who was chasing. He didn't have a ton of speed, so he did stay home more. Maybe we need to slow Bartlett down a little bit. But when he realizes he needs to stay home and just control more than he needs to take over, I think he'll be a much better player.
Yeah, he'll learn to read the game in time, and he won't have to run so much.
Yep.
But he'll be able to.
Ilie was 20. Ilie was 26 when he came to Sporting.
Right.
So, being able to read the game from that single pivot, takes longer, right? We talk about like goalkeepers develop later, but keepers develop later. Defensive mids, being able to read the game that way, it comes later than, further up the pitch where it's like, see ball, see net, kick ball in net. It's different.
And there's so much that you're asked to do in that position. And yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. It's such an important position. And I'm just going to say it again, 19, like you said, Ilie was 26 when he got here. And part of why I'm so optimistic about the rebuild and the way it's going right now is because of him getting such consistent time, and Jansen Miller as well. The fact that they're doing this, that we're getting very real, very meaningful time for this young player in such an important spot, and they're also getting some results and finding other players around the field that can stay here for the rebuild. I think that since Carey has taken over, I think this is exactly as you could have hoped a rebuild to go. There's young players getting time, and they're actually getting some results as well.
And they're making mistakes and hopefully learning from those mistakes. Because you have to, if you're doing a rebuild and you're going to play the youngsters, as everybody wants, it's always that dichotomy. Play the youngsters. Oh, they're not good enough. Play the youngsters. They're not good enough. And you go back and forth. You have to accept that they make mistakes. Pulse Camp has seemingly been better each week. I don't want to say, you can never say better every week, but he has been growing and being better. And I think Bartlett is growing and being better, and Jansen is doing the same thing. Are they perfect? No, but we can point out what they did wrong, but don't throw them out. Let them continue to grow so that this team is really good next year.
So does anybody besides me wish we still had Caden Pierre as a right back?
Wow, Caden Pierre. Kind of forgot about that name.
He's with Genk now, but...
Well, sort of. He hasn't been in a lineup since early in the season for them, and they just wrapped up, right? So he's been playing with one of their youth teams. As far as I know, I haven't been able to check on him a lot,
but he could do at least as good as our right backs are doing right now, right? I mean, come on.
I would think so, but he would be a natural right back. He has speed. We know all that.
Yeah,
he would be getting decent playing time.
I bet he wishes he was still here.
But on the flip side of it is he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
If you can't stay healthy, you don't contribute. So it still may have been better in Sporting's interest, maybe not Caden's interest, but in Sporting's interest to have sold him for over $1 million, $1,007,000 or whatever the number was, and then make room for somebody healthier, but they didn't really get that guy. So
another youngster in an important spot is Jansen Miller, who got his first assist.
No, he didn't.
Oh, they didn't count that a not assist?
Well, I know Tommy said he got an assist, but if you look at the stats, he doesn't have one.
Oh, okay.
Because I think if you bounce it off the woodwork back to a player, doesn't count as an assist because that's not an intentional action.
How does it?
Right.
What direction other than back would a ball off the post go?
Meaning he didn't intentionally head it down too.
Oh.
He was trying to score. It's the same as if it went off the keeper. It would not be yes, it would bounce back out to a player, but that doesn't count as an assist. So I would like to see him get an assist.
I thought MLS was doing that. Okay. I need to pay more attention.
Well, if you know who was really good about lobbying for those though? Benny
always.
Benny needs to come back and give like a master class on how to lobby for assists.
Something happened on that goal after Jansen Miller headed that and it was put home by Joveljic. Miller turned instantly when running to the corner and looked over at the bench, like maybe looked like he was looking over at Carey. And I love those little things because you just know, like someone right before that play had a conversation, or Carey sat him down this week and was like, "You are getting closer on headers. I know you do it in training. You're gonna be up there this game. I want you to get a header." And then boom, he gets up there and gets it. I love seeing those little things, and I wish I knew the discussion that he had that led him to instantly look over at the bench like that.
Maybe we should ask him next time we get a chance.
Yes, please do. We didn't even talk about that finish from Joveljic. Oh my gosh. Both finishes were so good. David, you weren't here for that. I saw very late that you were talking about Decky in the chat here before you actually joined. Do you want to talk about that game from the brace from Dejan Joveljic?
I mean, Decky is class. You can just tell that like he is a natural finisher and he is a natural number 9. And when we did our preseason pod after we had gotten him, we talked about how he can play kind of differently, right? Like he can poach, he can, receive a ball and finish, and that he's a lot more versatile than some of the strikers we've had in the past. And the dude is just class. And I will double down on something I said earlier in the season, which is that he is too good for MLS. Like he could be playing in a much better league than MLS. And it is awesome to watch him grow in this league.
Maybe we can sell him for a lot of money.
I hope we don't. It would be awesome to keep him.
Yes. We got room on the wall.
We do. That would be cool. I know we already talked about him, and I think I was intending to say some things, and I kind of got sidetracked and forgot. But I love his quote when he was asked about the second goal, about the bicycle. Sometimes you need to close your eyes and do a bicycle kick, and then maybe you'll score. I was lucky enough this time.
I love it. You're right. He is very honest, Robert.
And then just talk about, the what a week he's had, because he scored a goal in the previous game. He scored 2 in this game, and he had a kid in between. So the previous game, he literally left the locker room as fast as he possibly could, went to the hospital. They had a kid in, 5 hours after, I think it was. So yeah, he scored. This quote, a few hours before my wife delivered, we played against New England. I scored. We took 1 point, which is great. After going 2 down, came on a road in a very tough place to play. I hate this place, to be honest. So I love that.
Yeah. The humidity, I'm sure.
So and I have to admit, I made the mistake. I said, I understand you hate this team. And he goes, no, I don't hate this team. They have players I like. He goes, I hate this place. I said, okay. I said it wrong.
His former Galaxy teammate on that team.
Yeah. No, I said it wrong. I take full credit for being wrong on that one. But he's just really honest, and he's very straightforward, and he's very refreshing in that regard.
We mentioned it a little bit earlier. I want to talk about John Pulskamp, though, Thad. He is responsible for actual points that this team is earning with some of these saves he's making as of late. He's really putting all these together. He had 5 diving saves, and FootMob has his prevented XG. David likes all the XG stats here. prevented XG of 0.95. So this game, maybe not responsible. At least the stats wouldn't show that he is actually alone responsible for one of the points here, but he is playing very well, and it's starting to be continuous and consistent.
Yeah, I'd agree. And again, confidence, man. I say that a lot. Confidence breeds success, right? And he's more confident. He's getting the experience. He's doing the right things. He can't be perfect. He can't stop every shot, but he's playing really well, man. And he's, again, has the potential to be a really good keeper.
David, you didn't like when I said he's responsible for points, but he is doing the things that all of the great keepers of the teams over the years have done for them, which is just absolutely bail them out when the defense just forgets what they're doing. And he's had a couple of those and kept them in games and given them a shot.
I'm just surprised that you are giving credit to a keeper. That was my face, was that you notably are somebody who said that a tree could stop most of these things, and that we protect keepers too much, we give them too much credit. So much like you gave me garbage for coming around on Shoppy from inept to only okay, I am surprised to see that you are giving credit to a keeper because you are a noted keeper hater.
See, as I always say, I am not just a stonewall hater. When a keeper does something good, I always do respect it. I have a lot of respect when the keepers do good things. And at the same time, a tree would stop 50% of the shots in this league. I still believe both of those things. Those are both true. I always give respect for the keepers when they deserve it, and Pulskamp is very deserving as of late, Thad.
And in defense of Cody, and I can't believe this is, I think, the second time I've defended him this pod.
Hell yeah.
Because usually I'm the one that's giving him shit, deservedly so. But he did lead with diving save. Trees don't make diving saves. They only fall once.
That's why that stat jumped out at me. I see FootMob keeps that stat. Okay, you can't go wrong there. A tree doesn't do that.
So I have to give Cody credit. He went with what would support his argument. I will be if you're not here, David, I will be right back to giving Cody shit. But today I'm
let me sign off real quick.
I will say
no.
I will say we had a lot of conversations about him at the beginning of the year, and at times it felt like it was maybe going to be a long season as he was getting some of the kinks out and all of that, but it's working very well at the moment. And I am all aboard the Pulskamp train at the moment.
At the moment. And that's a really good way to say this, because we don't know what this team's going to be like. We could still be in the new manager bump, but 10 games usually is past the new manager bump. And they're playing decently, getting a win on the road, all that stuff. That's good. They still are far from being a great team. But again, they need players. They need to keep gelling, all this other stuff. I'm trying to be optimistic, Cody, but I'm also trying to be realistic. Sorry.
Yeah, it was. That's what I was about to say. I can hear some optimism in your voice, but you're trying to dampen things a little bit to try to not get the audience too excited. I like getting the audience excited. We're here. We're all fans. We want to see this. It's okay to have fun and be tingly.
It is okay to have fun. I am having fun when they're scoring goals. I like that. I think my little name thing on StreamYard today is that as a deep appreciation of goals, right? So I like goals. And you know what? Mike Kuhn was supposed to write the recap last night. I was coming back from the U.S. Women's National Team game, and I didn't get to see the first half, and I was watching the second half on my phone, all this other stuff. And he goes, "Hey, they're winning. Do you want to take the recap? Because you don't get to write winning recaps."
Good job, Mike.
It's been like 2 years since I wrote a winning recap for Sporting. So yes, you know what? Yes, it's going to take me a while to catch back up and at least halfway be intelligent about this, and maybe even quarter of the way intelligent. But I took it because I just wanted to write a winning freaking recap.
I had to rewatch today. I was watching in between trips to the dance floor at a wedding, and I was spreading the gospel at this wedding. There was a lot of sports fans there that are casually know Sporting Kansas City used to be good and now they're bad. And I was spreading the good word. I was telling all of them it's getting a little better. They're putting stuff together. They got a good striker. And I had this on at the table every now and then and had some people watching. So I convinced some people to go to games. And like I did last week on the podcast, I'm trying to get everybody back. We can have fun supporting this team again. We don't have to feel bad and hate the direction that everything is going in. There's more positives, and I'm just less cynical. And I'm happy to be doing this again.
I mean, Cody, when May began, we looked at it and said, May's going to be rough because there's only like 2 home games, a lot on the road. There were 7 games originally. We had the LAFC reschedule, right? And at the beginning of May, we're like, okay, is 10 points a realistic goal for this team to get in these 7 games? Well, they've played 6, again, the LAFC reschedule, and they've got 9 points out of those 6. And what are they, 4 out of a playoff spot right now, 4 points? So we've got to be pretty happy with those results for sure.
4 points under that line. I said, keep an eye on that table.
They still have to keep getting results, but again, we everybody is on the fence. Keep Carey, not keep Carey. Is this team good? All this stuff. Have fun, man. There's a process to this. I don't expect them to win MLS Cup this year. Don't expect it. They're not quite that good enough, even if everything went great. But they're a team that's improving, and they're going to be fun.
No, I'll say they can expect it. Scrappy team, like I said. If this team scraps their way into the playoffs. This is the kind of team you do not want to play. The one that survived a horrible start to the season and was riding a new wave in the second 2/3 of it. Yeah, they'll be a dangerous team in the playoffs. They're going to go on a run, and anything can happen, Thad.
Especially if they get a good signing in the summer window.
Yes, there we go. There's the tingles. There are the tingles right before we go to break. David, do you have something?
We have 16 points. From the first 6 games, we had 1 point. If that doesn't show you an upward trajectory and should give you some tingles, I don't know what does.
Hell yes.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Walmart Business saves you time, money, and hassle, which means you can focus on what really matters. Like putting the money you save back into what you do, spending more time training your team, filling orders, and finding new clients. Anything and everything, right down to, oh, that's the one, choosing the best hold music. Walmart Business. It's the Walmart you love, now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Cody, can we make the break shorter?
Really? I about fell asleep.
Look, man, I do not have time to be here all night. So if the breaks could be shorter, we don't have time for you to do all this crazy stuff. Sorry for the listeners who have to hear how the sausage is made. But
you don't need to change clothes every time, man.
Is just
an audio medium. You don't need new clothes. You don't need a fit check every single time.
I had to
we record on video, so we can all see each other. And Cody, he talked about this wedding, and then I made an offhand comment about whether or not he danced, and then during the break he's dancing. It's crazy to watch.
But you should watch him dance. It's pretty amazing.
Don't doubt my skills. That's what happens when people doubt me. Okay, before we start talking about the rest of MLS, I want to look around the league a little bit. That Michelle Cooper got an assist for the U.S. women's national team in a 3-0 win over China. Is that how that ended?
That's how it ended. 3-0 win. Very nice assist.
Beautiful assist.
Lindsay keep wanting to say Horan, played the ball out to her, then made the run. Michelle Cooper ran onto it, got into a good position, whipped the cross into the middle. Lindsay headed it for the goal. But, even there's bigger news from that game than Michelle Cooper getting a goal, right? Lola Bonta getting her first cap for the U.S. women's national team.
Hell yeah. Nice job, Lo.
First call up at like 32, first game. She was on the bench, and she got the call to go in. So first cap. Congrats.
I did have to giggle, though. Post-game interview, she's on television. There are 4 women reporters there, some former players. And she is dwarfed by every single one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
She is either the shortest or the second shortest that was on that team, I think.
What about Miss Long, though, for the under-20s?
Yeah. She got 2 goals, and Katie Scott, who were both players for the KC Current also. So they're both with the U20s. The U20 women's team is now qualified for the World Cup and will advance into the semifinals of the CONCACAF U20 women's national, however that goes, championship.
You really just bailed on that one.
Yeah, I did, man. That was I Googled this earlier to pull up some and check the tables and everything, or the results, and it seems like I kept pulling up the wrong thing. So I literally swapped a word to the beginning, and it pulled up the right thing. I'm like, why is this not working?
Is that one of those tournaments that only streams on like Tubi or some channel that is obscure?
Why no? Is Fox Sports 1 totally obscure? No, it's not.
Oh, well, that's great.
Nice.
It was either on Fox FS1 or FS2 today.
Oh, see, FS2 is obscure. You have to have like a special subscription for that.
But some are on FS1. The FS1 is carrying it, at least.
Yeah, I forget which one it was on today. The previous one was on something else, and actually a lot of these are going to be streamed on like Facebook because it's the youth tournament and somewhere else. So you can actually catch some of these. I will double check and let you know by the end of the pod when the next game is.
Speaking of the Longs, Thad, the Longs made a purchase this week.
They did. Team in Denmark. We need to have our Danish keeper friend come on and tell me how to pronounce that name. I actually texted him. I said, "Can you tell me how to pronounce the name of the team?" And he just sent me back the name of the team. I'm like, that didn't really help.
So what's the theory here? What's going on with this purchase?
They're building an empire.
Okay.
Sounds ominous.
Michelle, they're having to keep up with the Kangs.
I've been watching Star Wars, so you said empire. Felt ominous.
Kangs, like the Marvel character?
And now, we're on Marvel too. We got Star Wars and Marvel.
Michelle Kang owns an NWSL team, but she's also bought a couple other women's teams around the world and intends to build an empire. And essentially, I think that the Long family will try to build their own city group or Red Bull network of teams and be able to funnel players through it.
Interesting.
So I think this is the first of however many. But I mean, this is Denmark. It's not the biggest women's soccer league in the world by a long shot. So shot.
Michelle Kang owns the Washington Spirit.
Yeah.
Lyon, their women's team.
Yep.
And the London City Lionesses, who are in the Women's Super League in England. So England, France, and NWSL.
Yeah. 3 pretty big leagues where the Denmark league is nowhere close to that. So, but it's a first step where Michelle has been doing this already for a while.
David.
Whatever it takes to get Jimmy back on.
David, Marvel really had to punt on Kang the Conqueror, didn't they? Jonathan Majors really ruined an amazing career and like billions of dollars.
It turns out that people don't like it if you beat up your girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's a novel concept.
don't mean to laugh at that, but it's funny the way Marvel set all of this up over years, and then they had to just be like, never mind.
Yeah, well, they didn't do themselves any favor with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That kind of sucked.
Yep, it did.
But wasn't he found not guilty or acquitted or something?
I have not heard about Jonathan Majors in a long time. I don't know how that turned out.
I don't. This is not very authoritative, but I want to say he was found not guilty or acquitted, and people were talking about, hey, maybe we can get the King thing back, but I don't think that's going to happen. So
he was found guilty, by the way. He was found guilty of reckless assault in the 3rd degree and harassment, but was acquitted of a different charge of assault and aggravated harassment.
Okay, so half and half.
Okay, well, let's get Cassian Andor on the Longs building an empire. But we're going to move on, or we're going to move back to Major League Soccer, because this is a soccer podcast. The time has finally come, 17 games in. The Galaxy have finally gotten their first win, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, against our former teammates, William and Johnny Russell.
Yeah, they actually did both play. Agata went 90 and had like a 6 rating on there. That's what's funny. I'm okay with the Galaxy finally getting their win. That was fun while it lasted, but if it comes at the pain of RSL, I can find some solace in there. Thad, STL also got a win finally under their new regime.
New manager bump.
That was like a stoppage time winner, if I remember correctly.
Yep, and they're over there claiming they are back now.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't think they were ever here. We made sure of that in their first season. There are no PV rumors yet, right? I've been clinching, waiting for the day I hear the rumor that they've reached out to Peter Vermees about this.
Cody's creating diamonds over there.
Oh, man. It scares me. We haven't heard any rumors about this yet, have we, Thad?
Can I start one?
Yeah, sure. Well, if we're going to start one, then yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to say LAFC.
Ooh, okay.
I would have said Galaxy, but they re-signed him, but they not too long ago, so it would be really awkward to fire him at that point. I just don't want him to go to St. Louis, obviously. But LAFC, hey, they need a new coach soon.
I was telling everyone to look at the table after this weekend, but like I said, I forgot that there were midweek games. So it doesn't look as good as I thought it was going to look, but that game in hand, Thad, that's going to come in handy. I do like the way this is looking. The line is right there. Like you said, maybe there's some movement in the summer window. This could all happen. I'm starting to believe.
That game in hand gets taken up this weekend with LAFC, though. So it's really, it goes away pretty quickly and against a good team on the road. So you can feel tingly. I'm not quite so tingly about this.
A good team.
And even though we're 4 out, we still have to kind of pull it over 3 clubs. So,
yeah.
But the difference,
but it's doable.
The difference, though, Thad kept reminding us that they got to keep getting results. Of course they do, but the reason I am believing is because they've shown there's reason to believe that they can get more results. I didn't know where the goals were going to come from. I didn't know how they were going to do any of this. And there's reason to see results in the future.
There is. I'm optimistic they can do it. Again, it has to be seen. They have to do it. Can they do it? Yes. I do think that they will climb. If I had to put money down today, because I'm not really a betting person, so I don't really bet unless it's pretty much a sure thing. But if I had to put $10 down or something, I would bet they make the playoffs and maybe do something, not go all the way, just because they're not deep enough at this point, unless they make some really good signings.
I want to hear what the rest of you also think about that for the ceiling of this season. But that game in hand is against LAFC. They're very good, obviously, because they just qualified for the Club World Cup. We now have 3 MLS teams in the Club World Cup because Garber just decided one time that Miami was going to do it. That felt a little arbitrary. Miami is also going LAFC. They just beat Club America to qualify for that. And Seattle is the other team. And Robert, you saw those shirts that they were wearing? There's a bit of a boycott going on, or a protest from the Seattle players.
Yeah, and apparently it's been going on for quite a while. But yeah, they're wearing Club World Cash Grab shirts before their match this weekend in MLS. And interesting statement that was put out by them as well. And I'm going to read a paragraph here, which I find the most interesting. It says, for months, the players, meaning the MLS Players Association, have privately and respectfully invited the league to discuss bonus terms for the Club World Cup. Yet MLS has failed to bring forward a reasonable proposal. Instead of recognizing the players who have brought MLS to the global stage, the league, which routinely asks the Players Association to deviate from the collective bargaining agreement, is clinging to an out-of-date CBA provision and ignoring long-standing international standards on what players typically receive from FIFA prize money.
Okay, so the players, MLS think, or I guess not MLS, the players think they should get more money. The shirts that they were wearing said Club World Cash Grab with the Monopoly man carrying a bag of money and a top hat that says MLS, and the back says Fair Share Now.
So The Athletic wrote an article about this, and they didn't justify it. They weren't defending it per se, but they did note that, many MLS clubs don't make much money or don't make any money. Some clubs are still losing money.
Right.
And so they were talking about how lucrative the Club World Cup is for clubs that, you get, I think, $9 million. And then for every win, you get an extra $2 million. For every draw, you get another $1 million. And how, it can help kind of financially right the ship for some of these ownership groups. And so, if you only look at it from that perspective, right, then there's some argument for the owners. And then you realize that they're all billionaires, and the reason that they can do what they do is that they can afford to take a loss on the club itself because they all have so much more money. But these players, they don't, and if their contracts aren't structured to pay them per game, right, they don't get extra from an additional tournament, even though it's additional wear and tear on their body. The idea that the league or the clubs aren't going to take care of these guys who are making them substantially more money is pretty gross.
Okay, back to the ceiling for Sporting KC. Thad, you said you would bet that they're going to make the playoffs. Robert, where do you stand with this team right now?
Well, we've got to decide, is the 9th one, is that really making the playoffs, or is that just
Yes, it is.
Stupid? It is. Okay. Well, if that is making the playoffs, which technically it is, but in my book, it's really not, I think they do have a chance to grab that 9th spot for sure.
So
maybe that 8th spot too.
9th and only not? Okay, maybe the 8th. Okay. So what is the real playoffs for you? Where are you drawing the line in your own personal record book?
I mean, if you're the 8th seed, at least you're hosting that play-in game, right? To get into the real playoffs where they really begin. So to me, the 8th spot is, but it depends what happens in the summer window. I don't know how much higher this team can perform than they are currently. So it's going to be an interesting summer for sure.
But if they keep performing at this level, I think that they finish above 9th, right? Aren't they just going to keep climbing? 1 point in the first however many, David said that earlier, 1 point in the however many games, and then 16 since Vermees was gone.
Well, you have to then count on the rest of the teams above us to perform to the same level they've been. So, we'll have to see.
No, you don't.
Because there's teams with 4 and 5 wins that are, 3 or 4 spots ahead of us, and they haven't exactly been tearing up the world either. So we'll see.
All right. 8th place is Robert's ceiling. David, what's your ceiling?
I mean, one of the low playoff spots, but unlike Robert, I would be content with simply making it. Most years I wouldn't feel that way. Historically, I want our club to aim for higher than just sneaking into the playoffs. But with how bad last year was, with how bad this year started off, to be able to say, we had 1 point in the first 6 games, we had to fire a legendary manager, and then we were able to claw back from the brink and show some positive, I think that will help reignite some passion in the fan base. So I'm fine with 9th. I'm fine with 8th. Anything better than the play-in game is, house money at that point.
Yeah.
But I think this is a low playoff squad. I think 7, 8, 9, probably somewhere in there. I don't think that they're an MLS Cup front runner by any means, but could the team get hot? Absolutely. And as Thad keeps talking about, and maybe he's alluding to something that he knows about that we don't, but if we nail a summer signing, the Sounders were absolute trash, and then Nico Lodero came in, and then they went on a rampage for the rest of the year. So if there's somebody out there that we can sign to make a difference, it's not unheard of to see a team completely turn it around.
No, I do not know of something specifically, but
he just winked.
I think that they will sign somebody because some of the money they got from Agata was labeled as 2025 GAM. So if it is 2025 GAM, it's supposed to be spent this year, but some of the rules are murky and changing, so that may not be 100% true. But that's why I thought that if you have that much money sitting there, you might as well spend it, right?
I am a romantic. I love hard, and I am too trusting. So I believe when the owners say that they're going to spend money, I believe in this rebuild, and I believe that they can bring someone in the summer. So with all of that being said, I will raise the ceiling from all of you, and I'll say the ceiling would be 5th place in Major League Soccer this year after getting an exciting transfer or two in the summer window.
Are you all in?
I have had my heart broken many times.
Are you all in? You're going to throw all your cash in on that bet?
No, I am not.
Then you're not. No.
Well, but I said it's the ceiling. The ceiling is how high they can go. I'm not placing a bet that they make 5th place. It's different. You see, it's a different game we're playing here.
That's a weird hedge. That's like a weird because okay, well,
that's
our
ceiling. That's what a ceiling means.
First.
That's what a ceiling means, David.
Yeah, they could finish first. They could go all the way and win an MLS Cup if every other DP in the league falls and breaks their leg.
See, there we go. This is the kind of optimism I've been waiting for, Thad. I like this. First place.
Hey, can we talk about the most important competition that was played this weekend? The CONCACAF Champions League.
Champions Cup.
You got it.
Yeah,
wrong
I don't
too.
care that they changed it. Yeah, no. It's the Champions League. The Champions. It's a stupid name, and they need to stop changing the format. The group stage, the way that we used to do it, was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But Vancouver is getting housed right now.
Yes, they are.
5-0.
With time left, like it could finish worse than that.
It's all because no Sebastian Berhalter. I mean, that's why.
That's apparently
the best son of a national team player.
Yeah,
currently,
that's crazy.
Named Berhalter.
That's crazy.
Strikes fear in the heart of Mexicans all over there.
Yeah, it does. He's a good player. It's surprising to see. It's funny. I like the storyline.
So should Mr. Burns, excellent, go out and get Gio Reyna to come back to America and see if he can rehab his career? And
see, that's another one.
Where would we put Gio Reyna?
Right wing.
Midfield.
He could replace Shappy.
Yeah, probably.
You could replace Shoppy. You could play somewhere in the midfield.
I do not want Gio Reyna, but
I don't either.
But that's another one. I do believe in Mr. Burns. Like I said, I'm too trusting in my relationships, but I believe in Mr. Burns.
Why wouldn't you want Gio Reyna?
Because he can't get on the field anywhere he goes. There's very clearly a problem there. I know it all got blamed on Berhalter, but very clearly this kid is a shithead, and I'm tired of waiting for him. He's a great player, and I'm so tired of waiting for him to get his shit together.
I hope to be pleasantly surprised one day when he shows up and starts playing again.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm at. I'll wait until the time comes, but I am not until I see it.
Until then, he is not even in my purview anymore, other than to bring him up and stir shit up on a pod.
He's a head case.
So I just want to follow up. I said earlier about the U20 women's national team. They'll be playing June 3rd against Costa Rica, 3 p.m. our time on FS2. That's the last game in the group stage before they go to the semifinals.
Okay, one last thing on Sporting. Thad, I think I found what happened there. You did just say you would bet they'd make the playoffs. That isn't you giving your ceiling. So give us your actual ceiling if it's not first place.
Okay, ceiling being that this is as high as they could possibly finish in the playoffs. I'm just making sure I'm clarifying the confines of this statement. Is that true?
If you believe they can, if they can actually make the playoffs.
I believe they can make the playoffs. I mean, I wouldn't even bet money if I wouldn't believe they can make the playoffs. The highest ceiling is somewhere mid 5th, 6th is the highest, I think.
There we go.
And part of that is because they have a long way to climb. Part of it is they don't have the players they need. That could still change, but they have a long way to climb to get to where they can do that. there's too many points up to first to even think about dreaming about that. Now, that doesn't mean they couldn't do damage in the playoffs if they bring in another 2 players.
My point here was to show our optimism, and I think we've shown optimism has shifted from the beginning of the season. I think the ceiling is raised pretty consistently for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't sure about you, David.
Okay, Thad, why don't you leave us with something prophetic?
It is entertaining to have local players playing for the national team again.
David, was that prophetic?
No. Do you know what prophetic?
Was it pathetic?
That was pathetic, not prophetic.
So I know that none of my coworkers are especially supportive of my budding broadcasting career, because at the end of every staff meeting, I call on somebody and I ask them to say something prophetic, and not one person's been like, "You have stolen this from Cody Bradley." They always just kind of do what Thad does, which is look around confused and
look
say
at
something.
You like you're crazy.
Yeah. I'll say something prophetic.
Yes.
Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester City will finish next season with the exact same number of trophies.
That's not prophetic either.
It's literally a prophecy. He literally gave a prophecy. Are you jealous I gave him your bit? Do you want to do one? You want a second shot? We filibustered long enough. You want a second shot at it?
I'll throw one out there.
Yes, Robert.
Sporting has done most of this latest run without Jake Davis in the lineup. And when he comes back...
Wow. See, that's right. That would have been something we could have discussed during the show.
I got nervous that
Also
that was not prophetic at first. When he's like, Sporting's done most of this without Jake Davis. I'm like, that's a fact. That's not a prophecy.
Just stating facts.
But when he comes back, even better.
Do we think that Jake Davis, Shappy, and Jansen Miller could take Klaus, Celio Pompeo, and pick another shithead from St. Louis in a fight? Like, if we gave them switchblades and like lined them up, do we think we would win?
I say take the weapons out of it, and Klaus is the only formidable opponent there. I think Pompeo goes down very easy.
Shoppy climbs up on the top of him and just beats on the top of his little head.
Yeah.
And then he finds the bald spot and just said in Russian.
All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. Sporting!
Has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.